Good morning.
ප්‍රියන්ත මහත්තයා ඉන්නවද?
බැංකු ගිහින් මැඩම්.
සම්පත් online banking. පහසුයි ලේසි කාලේ ඉතුරුයි. සම්පත් බැංකුව හෙට දින එළිය කරයි.
A very good evening and welcome. This is Weekend Primetime News here on MTV and Shakti TV. I'm Ramesh Bandara. Let's start off with a look at your headlines.
Political parties and organizations that were committed for the Maitri rule to contest under the symbol of the elephant. Agreement to be reached tomorrow.
අපි යහපාලනය සඳහා වූ එක්සත් ජාතික පෙරමුණ යටතේ අපි තරඟවාදිනවා.
මේ මැතිවරණයෙන් පස්සේ එකට එකතු වෙලා ආණ්ඩුවක් හදන්න පුළුවන් වෙන විදිහේ අවබෝධතාවයකින් වෙන් වෙන්න අපි කතිකා කරනවා.
United National Front for Good Governance approved at the UNP convention. Compiling of nominations list of the alliance almost complete. Nominations for several provinces dispatched.
මම හිතන්නේ රටේ ජනතාවට හොඳ අවස්ථාවක් පිරිසිදු අය පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට එවන්න.
The Prime Minister's office announced a memorandum of understanding on the creation of the United National Front to represent good governance will be signed tomorrow. A number of factions held discussions today as well to contest under the UNF as a common alliance at the August 17th parliamentary polls.
The fundamental policies that will be followed by the UNP during the upcoming elections were presented at the UNP convention today held in Campbell Park, Borella. It was also announced that a price of a domestic gas cylinder will be reduced by 100 rupees from the 15th of July, while the price of rice sold by Satosa will be reduced from the same day. On the 8th of January, Maitripala Sirisena was elected the president to ensure that your future is secure. The former president swindled during the war and after. Those who were sent home must remain at home. I have promised that 1 million job opportunities will be created in another 5 years. If a three-wheeler driver is killed in an accident, we will give 1 million rupees to the dependents. The lands that were reclaimed from the people in the North, East and Colombo will be returned. We will adopt the United Nations Convention against Corruption. We will form a team to go after the rogues. Do not have any doubts on it. The Constitutional Council will be limited to 3 members. We will make provisions for the devolution of power within a united state.
මන්ත්‍රීවරු 3 දෙනෙක්ට සීමා කරනවා. අපි ඒකීය රාජ්‍යයක් තුල බලය බෙදා හැරීමට පුළුවන් තරම්ම ඉඩ අපි ලබලා දෙනවා.
Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Sajid Premadasa, had this to say on the former president contesting the polls.
මං අහන්නේ ලැජ්ජ නැද්ද? මේ පුංචි කැබිනට් ඇමතිවරයෙකුට අර දෙපාරක් ජනාධිපතිකම ගත්ත.
Has he no shame? The person who was elected as president twice is scared of the cabinet minister. I make a challenge to him. It is not too late. There is time to change the nominations list before 12 noon on Monday. If you have a backbone, if you have guts, you will erase Kurunegala and contest from Hambantota. Then we will teach you a democratic lesson that you will never forget.
තමුන්නාන්සේට ඉතිහාසයේ අමතක නොවන ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී පාඩමක් අපි හම්බන්තොටෙන් උගන්වන්න ලෑස්ති කියලා මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ කියනවා.
අර එක කණ්ඩායමක් අපි දැක්කා මැදමුලන විලාපය.
We saw a group weeping in Melamulana. We have heard the story of the mouse and the mountain. What will be the result of a mountain range that will be brought down? Just an insect. The elephant is patient. Do not anger it. The United National Front to represent good governance will be approved. Moreover, we invite all the forces that work to build the future of the nation to join with the United National Front.
යහපාලනය සඳහා වූ එක්සත් ජාතික පෙරමුණ සමග එක්වන ලෙස ආරාධනා කරන්නයි.
Those were scenes from the UNP convention that was held today under the auspices of party leader Ranil Wickremesinghe, where the creation of a United National Front to represent good governance was approved by party members of the United National Party. Now, the Prime Minister's office announced today that the Memorandum of Understanding on the creation of the United National Front to represent good governance will be signed tomorrow. A number of factions held discussions today as well to contest under the UNF as a common alliance at the August 17th parliamentary polls.
Minister Rajitha Senaratne today announced that political parties and organizations that work towards the victory of Maithripala Sirisena during the presidential election have agreed to contest the general election as a common alliance.
The UPFA has provided nominations to rogues, drug peddlers and ethanol dealers. We feel disgusted to contest with them. We are disgusted about this even though Mahinda Rajapaksa and the others are not. We will join hands with the forces that were there back then. The National Movement for a Just Society under Venerable Madhulu Avia Sobhita, the Pivitru Hetak Organization of Venerable Ratanatero, the JHU of Minister Champika Ranavaka, the LSSP, the Communist Party and 49 other civil organizations that joined with us will be contesting under the United National Front ticket under the UNP symbol, the elephant.
Discussions at various levels took place at a number of locations in order to join the common alliance. A number of persons who held discussions at the residence of Minister Rajitha Senaratne left for Teppal trees for further discussions. Meanwhile, another discussion had taken place at the residence of Minister Partly Champika Ranavaka with Venerable Athuraliye Rathanathero. When Newsfirst visited Venerable Madhulu Ave Sobhita and inquired on the forming of a new alliance, he said that he cannot mention anything at that time. Meanwhile, Hirunika Premachandra signed the nomination papers to contest under the United National Front to represent good governance at the party headquarters Sirikota today. She said that she will contest from the Colombo district.
At present, a group of persons and members of parliament who supported the president prior to the January 8th election and who were instrumental in his victory has formed another alliance. I believe it's time that I be with the president and strengthen his hands as he gave a pledge to the country with regard to good governance. And I yet believe that President Maithripala will do just by the country and he'll steer the UPFA to leadership. And I believe that I should be to support him and strengthen his cause. As President Maithripala Sirisena, I believe, has a vision and mission, and I think it is just that I be in the UPFA and strengthen his hands.
I must clearly state that I will be contesting under the SLFP-led United People's Freedom Alliance ticket. If I get sick of politics, I will return home and engage in my profession. I will live happily with my children. I will never leave this party. I have not signed the nomination papers as yet. 2 or 3 parties from the alliance are hoping to contest from the Khatan electorate. I believe that it will be unfair if more than 2 candidates are put forward. So discussions are taking place. Once it is resolved, I will sign the nomination papers.
I will not be contesting this election. There are a number of reasons for this. One is that those who are capable of using force and those who can spend a lot of money can move ahead than the others under the preferential vote system. I have held positions for 25 years, yet I cannot afford it. Therefore, there is no point in me contesting the polls this time. The Democratic Party maintains its stance that it will contest the elections separately. We are happy that they have formed an alliance. We see the forming of this alliance as one that is rising against the corrupt Mahinda Rajapaksa. Even though we are not in the alliance, we are of the stance to chase away the corrupt Mahinda Rajapaksa from politics. We will make the commitment.
ලංකකදී කතා කළෙත් නෑ. කියනවා ඔබතුමාලා මොකද කරන්නේ? ඒක අලුත් දෙයක් නෙවෙයි නේද? අලුත් දෙයක් නෙවෙයි. ඒක අපි මොනන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝගේ දේශපාලන තීන්දුව.
It is nothing new. That is their political decision. You can only build public opinion once, not twice. 6 months after, things have changed. This will affect the voter base from before. The UNP's calculations are based on the 6.2 million. That is where it will be affected.
එතනටයි පාඩු වෙන්නේ. ඒ එක්සත් ජාතික ගියාය.
Persons who crossed over from the UNP are not capable of mounting pressure from the SLFP-led United People's Freedom Alliance. Persons like Rajitha Senaratne, MKDS Gunawardena are those who continuously spoke against the alliance. The people know what politics they follow. They cannot mount pressure. It is true that they came with the president, but it is not they who brought about change. A trend formed among the people casting aside any differences. The people are dissatisfied over the actions of the United National Party.
මේ අපේ එක්වීමත් එක්ක අපිත් එක්ක අමනාප වෙන ටික දෙනෙකුත් ඉන්නවා.
Some will be angered with the alliance. However, what some say is true. Allies of President Maithripala Sirisena have decided to form a separate front and contest. That is not an issue. Persons like Venerable Ratanathero, Champika Ranawaka and Rajitha Senaratne are those who made sacrifices. Therefore, we have spoken in brotherhood and decided to come together to form a government.
අවබෝධතාවයකින් වෙන් වෙන්න අපි කතිකා කරනවා.
General Secretary of the United People's Freedom Alliance, Susil Premajayanta, says that the nomination lists of the UPFA are almost complete.
UPFA candidates signed their nomination papers today at the Mahavali Centre in Colombo. Several former MPs have been given the opportunity to contest the parliamentary polls. Several persons who signed the nomination papers expressed their views to the media.
I believe this is the opportunity for the people of the country to elect clean persons to parliament. That is the most important thing at the elections. The responsibility during this election is to identify who is clean and who is not and elect the suitable person to parliament. All the leaders must come together. We always say that a government devoid of fraud and corruption must be established. The people are aspiring for that. I will never abandon my supporters. Therefore, I wish to state that I will bring about a resounding victory as the chief organizer for Chilau from the Putlam district for the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Nominations are now being given to persons involved with the administration. The secretary will be looking into that.
කාට කාට නාම යෝජනා නොදුන්නේ
ඒක 12 වෙනිදා 13 වෙනිදා දවල් 12 මාරකට බලා ගන්න පුළුවන් අපේ වැඩේ ඉවර නෑ කියන්නේ
Our work is not over. The Sama Samaja Party has received a considerable amount of nominations. The UPFA has also made requests. The final decision has not been reached as yet.
මේ අන්තිම තීන්දුවකට තවම ඇවිල්ලා නෑ
18ක් විතර සම්පූර්ණ
17 to 18 of the lists have been completed. Some of them have been dispatched to the respective areas. We hope to complete the others by this evening.
The JVP continues to maintain its stance that it will contest the parliamentary elections separately. Speaking today, leader of the JVP, Anukumara Disanayake, said that the nomination list for all districts have been compiled.
The nominations list of the JVP to contest the August 17th parliamentary elections were compiled today at the party headquarters in Bathuramulla. District group leaders and leader of the JVP, Anukumara Disanayake, signed the nomination papers today.
මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ හිටපු ජනාධිපතිවරයාත් වර්තමාන ජනාධිපති මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මහත්මයාත්
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa and incumbent President Maithripala Sirisena have reached a form of consensus. This has become the most disgraceful relationship. We are the ones who view this as wrong. We see that the ones who were in loggerheads with the United National Party now forming alliance with them. Therefore, these two factions have clearly shown that they would resort to any form of disgraceful and shameful act in order to obtain power. The JVP will be engaged in an election campaign that will have no ill effect on the relationship people will have with us during this election. Those who wish to cross over will do so. There was an attempt to ban crossovers through the 19th Amendment. However, a group from the UPFA and the UNP did not allow that. The JVP will not create MPs who can be bought.
Several main political parties held their inaugural rallies today ahead of the 2015 parliamentary elections. The Democratic Party held its maiden rally ahead of the polls in Tissamaharama.
The car in which Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca was travelling in when he was targeted by a suicide bomber was also on display at the inaugural election rally in Tissamaharama.
Persons who swindled money in the Pradesh Sabhas, provincial councils and even rogue MPs and ministers are the ones who are attempting to bring back Mahinda Rajapaksa. When it is good governance, they will have to live a simple life. They will have to manage with the salary they receive. That will not allow to maintain what they have. So they will have to swindle money. This is the change. We must never allow this group to rise again. We sent him packing on the 8th of January 2015. He tried to suppress us.
I would like to remind everyone, the man who chants out loud saying it is a revenge is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Don't forget that. Why is he so engrossed in the idea of obtaining an MP post? Think about it as well. Attempting to enter parliament through a narrow road, Mahinda Rajapaksa knows that he can bring about great destruction through this.
Let's now take a look at some of the views expressed in the political arena.
We said that they cannot be trusted. This is true. What was the main slogan that was used during the presidential election campaign of Maithripala Sirisena? They said the Rajapaksa family and all those who were around them were rogues. Now what has happened? All the rogues have been provided with nominations.
We handed them over the country with 1,100 billion rupees in reserves. Can the UNP operate a government? The loans taken this past 6 months is more than what we obtained last year.
The person who was the president for 9 years is trying to become an MP. What is this joke? It is like the postmaster becoming the peon and the policeman trying to be the village security officer. Former cabinet ministers and MPs are contesting again after obtaining the pensions. So a former prime minister can contest, a former president cannot. It is not mentioned in any act. It is an easy task to defeat Mahinda Rajapaksa from the Kurunegala district, who has gone to the Madamulana after losing and is going to temples and is at the feet of Maithripala Sirisena to obtain the nominations. A lion does not brawl with cats. It can simply purr for fun. Recently I visited Kabilitta. Then I saw Ranjit Madhuma Bandara arrive. I was pleased. He was worshipping the statue I erected. Recently it was said, work for anyone except for Soisa. He says that I worship the statue he erected. May the gods bless him. He is the one who said the father was buried. Now he must be having an issue because the father has risen from the dead.
Welcome back to the news. President Maithripala Sirisena engaged in an inspection tour of the Sri Lanka Air Force camp at Katunayaka last evening.
A guard of honor was accorded to President Maithripala Sirisena upon his arrival to the Sri Lanka Air Force base. The President then inspected the aircraft of the Sri Lanka Air Force and its weapons.
ඉහළ සංවර්ධනයක් ඇති රටවල් වල රාජ්‍ය නායකයින් සමග මා කළ සාකච්ඡා තුල
During my meetings with the heads of state from developed countries, I gave priority for the increase in training and technological knowledge for the Army, Navy, Air Force personnel and the police. Through this, we hope that the three armed forces and the police will be able to provide a better service. You rendered a great service during the war for the motherland. Therefore, under the new government, I hope to increase the respect and the acceptance that you are accorded within the society.
මගේ නව රජය විජයට තව තවත් ශක්තිමත් කිරීමටයි මම බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ.
Later, the commander of the Air Force, Air Chief Marshal Gagan Bulat Sinhala, awarded a symbolic memento to the President to mark the occasion.
Vice Admiral Ravindra Sri Vijay Gunratna took up duties as the 20th Commander of the Sri Lankan Navy today.
The new Navy Commander was accorded the Guard of Honour upon his arrival to the Sri Lanka Navy headquarters in Fort. With his new appointment, Rear Admiral Vijay Gunaratne was promoted to the rank of Vice Admiral. Vice Admiral Vijay Gunaratne joined the Navy in the year 1980 as a cadet officer and served as a Chief of Staff of the Sri Lankan Navy prior to being appointed Commander. For his exceptional performance in the war, Vice Admiral Vijay Gunaratne boasts of many accolades including the Rana Shura and Rana Vikrama medals.
The third phase of the National Anti-Drug Drive commenced today in the Central Province. The National Anti-Drug Drive island-wide door-to-door campaign is being carried out by Newsfirst, Sirsa and Shakti together with the National Dangerous Drugs Control Board.
අපි ඒක නතර කරලා දැන් ලස්සනට ඉන්නවා අපි සමාජයේ ඔක්කොම මැරෙන්න මොහොත තමයි වෙන්නේ ඒක බීලා මේක බොන එකට වඩා හොඳයි වාටිකක් අරගෙන බොන්න එක.
Newsfirst came across these young men who have proven it wrong that you cannot escape from the drug addiction during the National Anti-Drug Drive. In order to affirm their strength of overcoming the menace to the whole country, our teams undertook a door-to-door campaign to raise awareness among the public on the ill effects in the use of drugs. The National Anti-Drug Drive island-wide door-to-door campaign commenced after an event at the historic Aluvihari in Matale.
This initiative that you will undertake today will create a healthy future generation. I wish to state that this is indeed a very important initiative.
මාධ්‍යයේ සිටින අපිට සමහර විට මහ ජනතාවට වඩා හොඳින් තේරෙනවා ඇස් දෙකට පේනවා මද්ද්‍රව්‍ය සහ මද්ද්‍රව්‍ය ජාවාරම් වලින් අපේ රටට වෙන හානිය.
More than the people of the country, we understand more and see more of the ill effects that drugs and drug smuggling has on the country. These ill effects have even reached the parliament. Because we cannot remain idle in the face of this menace, we decided to join with the people and the experts to undertake a door-to-door campaign in order to raise awareness on this among the people. No matter what the political situation is, and no matter what the politicians say to the people, we believe that the power of the ballot rests in the hands of the people. We believe that the people will use this power in an intelligent manner.
අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා ඒ බලය ජනතාව විතාමත්ම බුද්ධිමත්ව පාවිච්චි කරයි කියලා.
The Newsfirst team, together with the National Dangerous Drugs Control Board, visited Kaludawala, Mandankadavala and Ukula areas in Matale and identified addicts and directed them towards rehabilitation. In addition, the teams also raised awareness among the locals on the ill effects of drugs. Another phase of the National Anti-Drug Drive got underway in the Kandy district, subsequent to a ceremony held at the historic Bogambara New Shri Bodhimalu temple.
We visited Kandy for the National Anti-Drug Drive. We are now in Mahayava, which is famous for the use of drugs. Since our arrival here, we were met with addicts and those who have moved away from the life of using drugs. Their stories are indeed heartwarming.
Subsequently, the National Anti-Drug Drive door-to-door campaign commenced. Another leg of the program got underway in the Nuwara Eliya district. The Newsfirst team, together with the representatives from the National Dangerous Drugs Control Board, visited door-to-door to raise awareness after an event at the Manika Pillar Kovil in Hatton.
We travelled across Aludgama in Hatton, Kuda Oya, Maskeliya, Bhagavantalawa areas and raised awareness on the ill effects of using drugs.
The National Anti-Drug Drive island-wide door-to-door campaign, which brings together the country against drugs, will take place in Alakadua, Hunnasgiriya and Rattara areas in Matale tomorrow. The program will take place in the Galaha, Deltota and Gampul areas in Kandy tomorrow. The program will also take place in the Ragala, Kandapula and Udupusalawa areas in the Nuwara Eliya district tomorrow as well.
A drug-free nation leads to a drug
And that's a wrap of Weekend Primetime News for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Ramesh Bandara. Good night.